Hello everybody, my name is Thomas Mucci and I'm doing my presentation on child obesity. I knew a fair amount about this topic because I've written papers on it before, but doing an actual research paper and having scholarly resources brought a more scientific aspect to it and more of the exact reasons why a child would become obese and um, not so much blaming people, but more just what are the factors that all lead up to a child becoming obese? What do we need to do to prevent it and treat it? And luckily, that's the easiest part is treating it. So let's begin. Causes of child obesity. The causes of child obesity are both natural and environmental. Natural meaning genetics, which we begin with the parents. Parents play a huge role in really everything with their child. They're the main teachers, so they're teaching them their good habits, their bad habits, such as, eating habits. If they have bad eating habits, they're going to teach that to their kids. If they're not cooking healthy meals for dinner, or if there's more of a focus of food tasting good instead of really fueling your body, that it all is passed on to the child, and that child learns those habits and lifestyle basically. As well as, speaking of lifestyle, as well as if the parent is sedentary or not, but in the case of obese parents to obese children, if the parent is sedentary, the child may also learn to be somewhat sedentary, even if they play or, especially in the modern era with technology, it's pretty easy to stay inside all day. Environmental and societal pressures also contribute to a child becoming obese. That's things like movies and advertisements, all the fast food advertising, the deals, the 2 for 5s, makes it really enticing to want to go get those unhealthy foods for fairly cheap. Child may be more likely to become obese if they do not have healthy food options at school. And then modern technology, that's what we talked about. Modern technology is a huge reason for why people are so sedentary now. You can stay, you know, you can prevent yourself from getting bored and staying inside all day. You don't have to. There's so many things you can do now from your computer and your TV. There's so many entertainment options that, especially if you're overweight or you don't want to go outside, it's pretty easy to stay inside. Um, and healthy food options at school, I'll talk about that later in the presentation, but if you're not giving children healthy options, or if they are not as available as the unhealthy options, what do you think a child's going to pick? They're going to pick the unhealthy option. Not always, but if these are obese children or children that don't know proper nutrition, they're going to go for what tastes good. And if you've got a brownie and an apple sitting right next to each other and you don't have any sort of guidance on what you should pick, they're going to pick what tastes better, and that's going to be detrimental to their health. The consequences of child obesity are the multitude of health problems that arise from holding extra fat on the body. Diseases such as diabetes, osteoarthritis, sleep apnea, heart disease, and high blood pressure. Got a chart there with all the different health consequences. Luckily, and I go on about this later, but while there are a lot of health risks that come with being obese, almost all of them can be reversed or they can go away if you lower the weight. So it's not something to be too scared about, only if you don't do anything about it. Children who are obese and face these health risks will eventually lower their perceived lifespan unless they change, which is true. They continue to be obese, that just compounds how likely they are to further these health issues, such as osteoarthritis is a great example. That arises from putting too much weight on the joints, and the longer you are at that weight, the more time you've put too much pressure on those joints. So it could cause more damage, or just make it more painful and harder to go back to the gym to try to do something about your weight, or their weight, the children's weight. Thus, we teach the current generation bad habits that lead to obesity will be taught to future generations. I call that stopping the cycle. We see that from the very first slide. Parents are the main influencers in their children, and even though they're not the main cause, they're a huge reason for why their child turns out any which way. So obese being one of them. And if you don't break the cycle, if you're not teaching these new generation of kids how to, have a proper nutrition, how to take care of their body, exercise, they're just going to teach the same bad habits that they learned from their parents to their kids, and the cycle will continue. Prevention. The only way to prevent child obesity is to educate them on proper nutrition and exercise practices, which is what I said earlier, presenting healthier options at school and at home so they can have an opportunity to be healthier. So prevention is pretty simple. Doesn't mean it's easy, but simple. It's just educating. The kids need to know what the right choice is and why, and especially their parents, because those are the ones they live with. Those are their main influencers. You get this information to the head of the household, maybe it trickles down and affects the whole household. Treatment. And this is the most exciting part of this to me, because depression is a big part of being obese. It messes with your body image and your self-confidence and your self-esteem. But all that can, improve if you do something about it. Or that child or whoever is obese is not stuck that way. And a lot of people like to blame their genetics, and it could account for a small percentage of people. But even then, those people with diet and exercise, I hate to say diet because it's not diet, but proper nutrition and exercise will not only reverse all these health issues, but become, much healthier than an average person. So there's always hope for someone to get better and, teach to others what they've learned, breaking more of the cycle. You teach one person how to be healthy, they tell their friend who they've had these bad habits with, this is what I did, this is what's working for me. Really just give people a way to better themselves. I'll wrap up just by giving my own thoughts. I do believe child obesity is a major problem in the U.S., and mostly because of our society at the moment. There's just too many bad, unhealthy food options, and it's a lot cheaper than going to buy healthy foods unless you cook it yourself. So that's my main teaching point for anyone trying to be healthier, is to really cook your own meals and get fresh ingredients. And if you're cooking your own meal, just go the whole way and just make sure you're getting every bit that you need. A little bit of vegetables, a little bit of fruits. Fruits better as snacks, and then a good protein source. So although it is a little upsetting, our current obesity situation, it's not hopeless in any way. It's actually hopeful, and I think we can still live in a society with all these modern technologies and still all be healthy and fit. So I hope that for all you guys too. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and have a good day.